So welcome everyone. My name is Caroline de Posada and I am so excited to have you on our Connect with Caro Expert Series. I am beside myself that I get to bring you today this incredible author all the way from Balboa Island in California, who's also a dear friend of mine. This is Lisa Jimenez, and I met Lisa probably when I was, I don't know, 10 years old or something like that. She was in the speaker world with my dad. I remember going to Florida Speakers Association and National Speakers Association. She had really short hair. She was dynamic and amazing. She had 3 kids. And I remember looking at her and thinking, wow, she gets to do all these amazing, incredible things and be a mom and be a wife. And I was in awe of her and her energy. And I always kept track of her throughout her life and to see all the amazing things that she was doing. So fast forward, she has written this incredible book called The Mindset Reset, how to retrain your brain and take control and transform your life, how to retrain your brain and transform your life. And I have it here on my Kindle, and it is absolutely phenomenal. So if you haven't gotten a copy of it yet, I highly recommend that you get the copy. So I called Lisa up and I said, I want to have a conversation with you. You know, I use these Connect with Caros as a way to go a little bit deeper. Yes, you can read her book. You can find her on a million different podcasts. You can look for her on YouTube. You can find all her videos. But I like to go in with these experts and ask more about the background of their lives, have more personal conversations, just dig deeper. And for whatever the reason, when she and I started talking, what came up was that we had to have a conversation about money. So we are going to be diving deep today into mindsets about wealth and prosperity and anything with money. Now, the way that I want this to go is if you have any questions, you can use the chat to ask questions. You can raise your hand. You can engage in the conversation. We're here to basically dive deep and get as much knowledge and wisdom and energy from this amazing human as we can. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
Caroline, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be your guest, and hello to everyone. I'm so happy you're here. Your life could radically transform in the next 32 minutes.
Oh, wow. That is absolutely amazing. So listen, let's start by just telling them a little bit about your background. How did you get into this world, into this business? Because you've been in this work for a long time. And I actually don't even know how you started off in this business.
Okay, so here it is, you guys. 32 years ago, I was a school teacher, an elementary school teacher in Margate, Florida. Who's a school teacher out there? I saw somebody.
Brandy's a school teacher. Yeah.
Love it. All I do today is
and Caroline's a school teacher too.
Oh, there you go. See? So what happened is my principal noticed that I had a really strong motivational classroom. And she asked me how I was doing it. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. She said, could you define how you're doing it? How these test results are getting so high, how you're keeping these students engaged and really enthusiastic about learning, the privilege of learning and transforming yourself. So here's the key word, transformation. It's always been in my heart. Transforming myself, continuously evolving, and then helping others to transform. Then my principal asked me, you guys, I was like 23, I think, 23 years old. Maybe 24. She asked me to give a speech, and it was going to be a paid speaking engagement in front of all the teachers of Broward County. And the title was How to Have a Motivational Classroom. Talk about fear. Okay. My first book is called Conquer Fear. I think that speech alone gave me all the content for my speech that day.
I actually have it right there. Your book.
Conquer Fear is all about like facing your fears of success, your fear of making money, the fear of being in the limelight, the fear of making a difference, the fear, and I know this could sound like I'm dating myself, but the fear of being a woman and being powerful. I know we don't have that fear as relevant or as strong as we did back, 32 years ago when I launched my speaking career. But that was a real fear for me. Like, who am I as a woman to be this powerful, to be ambitious? Like, ambition to me for a woman was like a four-letter word, right? And yet ambition is the vortex of femininity. So here I am giving this speech 32 years ago. And in that audience was the wife of the CEO of IBM. And she came up to me after the speech and she said, do you give these kind of motivational talks to salespeople? Because my husband is hiring a keynote speaker for his sales team in Boca Raton, Florida. What do you think I said?
I mean, I would imagine that you said, yes, of course I do.
Yes.
I would love to.
That's mindset reset number one philosophy is say yes, say yes, say yes. Say yes with your knees shaking. Say yes when you have imposter syndrome. Say yes when you don't think you can do it. Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. So I said yes. And then I said, let's talk on Monday. This was a Saturday afternoon. Can you call me on Monday? Let's discuss the details. And I was very strong in my conversation, but inside I felt like my knees were shaking. I was dissolving into fear, but somehow I spoke those words. Yes, I do. Let's chat about it on Monday. Can you call me on Monday and we'll talk about the details? That's all I said. Then I called my coach because I did have, I would call this gentleman more a spiritual coach, and he was just helping me in life. And I shared this with him and he's like, Lisa, just take what you did for the teachers in front of 300 teachers and write out a syllabus. And it's a curriculum, right? Just like a teacher, and send that to the IBM president. That's what I did. I got the job. That was my second paid speaking engagement. I did both for about 2 years, speaking and teaching. It was overwhelming and too much. And I was single. I'm sorry, I was married, but I had no children. So even no children, it was very challenging to manage both careers. And so at the age of 31, I retired from teaching and went full-time into speaking.
Wow.
That's how I started speaking. It found me, as great careers do. And here's mindset reset philosophy number 2. Here it is. Ready? So number 1 was say yes, say yes, say yes. It trains your brain that you're someone who says yes. It trains your brain that you're someone who can expand. It trains your brain that you're not someone who says no. That's just as important, because you and I are all wired to say no.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that we're wired to say no?
Because the brain, as a psychologist, the brain is wired for survival. It has one job to do, you guys, and that's to keep you safe. Safe, survive, safe. And in that amygdala, the fear-centered part of the brain, safe means the same. Did you hear that? Safe, S-A-F-E, to the brain means the same. S-A-M-E. It's got to keep you the same, because then control center, the amygdala, can control everything. Even the frontal cortex can control everything. Got to keep you the same. Same means safe. That's not who you are. There's no expansion in that. There's no growth in that. There's no fun in that. That's a robot. But that is what the brain is. A computerized robot. So you and I, we are not even wired to say yes. So you got to trick your brain to say yes, say yes, say yes. Now, philosophy number 2 in the mindset reset shifts is this: show up. Just show up. So when I just showed up for that first speech, and then Elaine was in the audience, and then I had the conversation with the president, I just show up. Just show up. But you got to show up. Too often we allow self-sabotage to say, oh, we'll manifest that we got sick. We'll manifest that we ran late. We manifest that we lost the phone number. And that's all just sabotage. So be aware of that, because Here's the thing about show up is you are wired to stay the same. You are wired at survival. Here it is, until you aren't. You are wired at poverty until you aren't. You are wired at fear-based until you aren't. Now, that is not elementary, you guys. Really think about that. That's the power of mindset reset. When you can reset your mind and harness the mind's power, it's a computer, you guys. You create a life of the inevitability. So if you're wired at fear, which everyone is until they aren't, until they aren't, until they aren't, I'm teaching your subconscious mind here, then of course it's inevitable that you're going to have fear-based conversations. You're going to attract fear-based people. You're going to sabotage because fear's running the show. But what happens on the other side of, here it is, until you aren't? What if you really did retrain your brain to move into opportunity, to say it became who you are?
So let me ask you a question, Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I think this is fascinating information. And 32 years ago, you didn't have all the information that you have today, right? So 32 years ago, you were still dealing with that fear and that uncertainty, and you showed up, which is incredible and amazing, and it started your career. And I read in your book that even though you were showing up and doing all the work and kind of like going all in and pushing yourself, that you found that you weren't making as much money as you wanted to make, or like it wasn't working the way that you thought it was going to work. It's not like you just showed up and it came without consequence. Like you went through a lot of struggle in that time. So I'd love to know about that. Like tell us how did you get to this mindset reset point where you started to learn about really breaking limitations and changing your mindset, even though you were doing this work but still struggling with it?
Yes, I shifted my focus, and that's the mindset reset. I shifted my focus to what's working. Remember, what you focus on, you create. The vibration that you are right now, let's talk about money. The vibration that you are right now around money. So everybody imagine you have the word money at the top of your vision right now. Look up there. There it is. Money.
Okay.
Money. There it is. Notice what comes up for you as a trigger. The first thing, money. If you're being honest, it's fear. It's there's not enough. There's not enough. It's, oh my gosh, it's the middle of the month. I was late on my mortgage or my rent. Or it's, will I have enough by the end of the month? Or it's the fight that my boyfriend and I got in last night about money. The fight that my wife and I got in this morning about money. Remember, the brain is wired at survival. So you are always looking at worst case scenario if you're only listening to your mind, if you're only listening to the survival brain. But what else do we know about you and about me? We're going to come back to the money in just a minute, but take a detour. What do we know about you? We know you have a brain. We know it's wired at survivor. But what else do we know about you? Who are you? What else do we know about the human experience? What else do we know about this thing called existing on planet Earth? We know we have a brain. We know we have a mindset. We know it's based in lack and limitation. We know it's wired for survival because that means it keeps us safe. But what's the missing element here? What is it? What else is true about you and I? Who are we as beings? Does anybody have the answer? Who else are you besides your brain?
Well, your
besides
spirit,
your wiring. Your spirit. Yes, your
of course.
spirit. Your spirit. You have a spirit with intuition, with power, with inevitability, with consciousness, with connection, with unification in the unified field. So the answer to your question is, I started studying quantum physics. I started studying metaphysics. I started studying the mysticism in scripture. And
But what led you to that journey, to that quest?
my spiritual coach just said I was in such a turmoil in my mind. I had imposter syndrome. I had fear around money. I had sabotage. As you know, the one story that I shared in Mindset Reset to open that book was, maybe it was Slay the Dragon. Sorry, my third book, Slay the Dragon. It was that I was making the same amount of money every year in my speaking career. Year 1, year 2, year 3. I couldn't seem to break through it. And one crazy morning, I brought this up to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I just got done with doing my taxes. It's so friggin' frustrating. I don't know why I'm making the same amount of money. I'm working harder every year in my speaking
Yeah,
career.
that's the
It's the same
you put
amount of
that
money.
story in
She said,
Mindset Reset.
well, how much are you making? And I told her how much. She said, isn't that weird? That's the same amount of money that your dad made. The subconscious beliefs that I can't surpass my dad. The subconscious limitations that I can't be bigger than my father. The subconscious beliefs that it would hurt him if I made more money than him. There's so much subliminal subconscious beliefs going on here. So again, to answer your question, it was my own inner turmoil. I was sick of it, Caroline. The misery, waking up every morning frustrated with my results, waking up every morning still riddled with fear, waking up every morning knowing I'm sabotaging my success. I'm like, this has got to stop. I've got to find a solution here. So it was the pain of struggle and just frustration and evident sabotage. I had to figure out, and remember, I'm a psychologist, so I love behavioral psychology, why we do what we do. So yes, it was my degree that makes me curious about my own behavior, but I was a psychologist for a decade before I really started delving into this. It was my own frustration. So maybe your listeners right now, are you just frustrated with how your life is going right now, how you're showing up? You know, there's something more for you. And that frustration is beautiful. You can drive it and harness it to be your energy to go deep, to step into metaphysics, to study Mindset Reset 5-step formula, to actually do the inner work, to retrain your brain, to expand your consciousness, to study, and to recreate yourself.
Now, you in your book, you also talk about, and I actually remember when this happened, but you also talk about going through your divorce with your husband of your 3 children, and that how difficult that was for you because you were trying to control and save your marriage and all these things that were going on with you. This quest into quantum physics and into metaphysics and into stopping the struggle, did you go on that journey before that divorce, or was it all happening after that? I'm curious.
It started before the divorce, because remember, before the divorce, I'm married to Mark Jimenez, my high school sweetheart. We have 3 children. My career is growing. And then I had to have that conversation with my dad about, is it bad if I make more money than you, Lisa? And he totally gave me permission. It was all self-made up. It was all self-sabotage. So my career.
You had a conversation with him about it?
I did. I had to. I just knew that it was such a taboo in my own vibration, in my own mindset about surpassing my dad.
Wow.
And it was all made up. It was all made up right here. It wasn't real.
But I can just as a segue, I can identify with that, because for me, my father was so grand in my life. He was like this larger than life human, and I adored him so much. And for me, coming into this business, I have always seen myself as his little girl. And he was like this, I've all my life, I've just watched him take the stage and kind of be, and I could see subconsciously where that would be a factor in my life where I would like not want to be bigger than him, right? Like I would never want to, but he passed. Like I can't have that conversation with him now. But I could see that where I idolize him so much, like I wouldn't want to be bigger than him. And I've actually done some work in that because of that, because of that mindset. But anyway, so you started this work, you had the conversation with your dad, but you're still married.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what led me to really diving into it, again, pain is good. Pain is a portal. Pain is a portal. It's a portal to, because remember, whatever's coming up for you and it's causing you frustration and pain, it means it's ready to be released. So don't suppress it more. Don't push it down. Let it come out. That means let yourself cry. Let yourself deal with this shit. Let yourself tell the truth, even just to yourself. Let yourself be honest and authentic, even just to yourself. So what happened is Mark tells me he doesn't want to be married to me anymore after 18 years of marriage.
Wow.
He literally just sat me down one night and said, Lisa, while you were gone at a speaking engagement, I moved out. I found an apartment and it's just he told me it was just temporary. I just need to find myself again, he said. I'm just like, what? I was just slapped on the face. I was sideswiped. I had no idea that he was going to move out. And then eventually within 3 months of him moving out, ask for a divorce. So in that pain, Caroline, I couldn't even move. I couldn't speak. I had to cancel all my speaking engagements. And I remember sitting in my backyard after I took the children to school, because all I could do was drive the minivan, like literally put sunglasses on in Coral Springs, Florida, drop the children off at school, say goodbye with a smile on my face. And then I'd go to my backyard and just sit there, or I'd go to the beach and I'd sit there and do nothing. I just had no capacity to create, to move. But that was a beautiful space in my life, because here's another philosophy in Mindset Reset. Here it is. And this is quantum physics. It's called 0 point energy. And it means when you have nothing, you have everything. Because when you have nothing to hold on to, you have nothing to sabotage, you have nothing. You are an open vessel. You are pure potential energy, which is truly what we are in quantum physics. If you put a microscope, a magnified microscope over any part of your body, what would you see? Trillions of cells. If you put a high-powered microscope over any one of those cells, what would you see? You would see an atom. If you put a high-powered microscope, which now we have only in the past 12 years, over that atom, what would you see? Yes, protons, neurons, electrons, but in the heart of those protons, neurons, electrons, and everything inside that atom, you would see nothing. You would see waves of energy, nothing. And we call that pure potential energy. Listen to the word potential. So when your husband leaves you, when you lost your job, when COVID happened and you don't know who the hell you are, that is an access to 0 point energy. When you have nothing, you have everything. So trust that you were put there for a divine purpose, to open your spiritual eyes, to shut down the thinking mind. Because believe me, when your husband leaves you after 18 years, you don't have a thinking mind. You can't think. You can't think. I don't know if anybody's been there with a diagnosis or a divorce or a passing over. Oh,
and I will tell you that I've worked with a lot of women that their biggest fear of success, one of their biggest fears of success, is the belief that you cannot be successful and have a thriving personal life and have a thriving marriage, thriving, maintain things the same as you said, right? Like maintain women.
And you can. It's a
women
belief
fear that you're not safe.
We have to do the inner work to retrain the brain, because if you don't retrain the brain, your mindset, I mean, you got to harness the power of that mind. If you have that belief, and we have continue to have these conversations, and you don't have any role models who have already done it, then it is inevitable that you won't be able to do it. It's inevitable. That's how powerful the mindset is. And what is a mindset, everybody? It's just a collection of beliefs that you've trained your brain to adopt. So in mindset,
so you're in this time of your life where you're going to the beach, you're canceling your speaking engagements, you can't think. I mean, we have you asked a question, which has anybody been there? We have people here that are saying 100% that they've been through what you're dealing with. And then what happens?
And then I'm sitting in my backyard on one fall afternoon. I had been divorced now or separated now for 6 months. And I said, who do I want to be? Write that down. Because I didn't know who I was. And everything I thought I was, I wasn't. So I asked myself, who do I want to be? And I just wrote down my highest values. I want to be a powerful contribution on this planet to help men and women reach their highest potential, recreate themselves in luxurious settings, traveling all over the world. And I want to host mastermind retreats. That's what I wrote down. And so when you get so clear with what you want, so you write down, who do I want to be? Here's the thing. Listen, I created her. I created her out of nothing, because I was nothing. Now, if you aren't in turmoil right now and you're not at 0 point energy, it's actually going to be a little more work for you to recreate yourself, because you have to unlearn the path you're already on. But when you're at a place in your life where you're 0 point energy, there's not much to unlearn. You're zero, you flatlined. You're recreating yourself in your resurrection. So I'm speaking to two different people here. The people who are there at 0 point energy, you're at a beautiful place. Acknowledge it. It's okay. You have just let go and just released everything that wasn't working for you. You don't know it wasn't working for you, but it wasn't working for you. Because just within 7 months of that separation, I started to feel lighter, Caroline, and everyone listening. And it's like when somebody has pressure on you and for years you don't even notice that pressure is there. You just go along, take the kids to school, come home, make dinner, but there's something, and then that something is gone and you don't feel that pressure anymore. Then you have contrast. You have something to say, oh my God, that hurt. Oh my gosh, that's not there anymore. Oh my gosh, I'm better. So please, everyone, do the best you can to shift what you're making this mean. You lost your job. Yes, someone passed over. Yes, you're in the depths of depression from divorce or whatever you're dealing with. I'm talking to this person right here. It is a portal, my friend. It is a portal for you to resurrect yourself and recreate yourself and not have to unlearn anything. You're at 0 point energy. So get busy, get to work, start recreating yourself. What are your values? Who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you love to do? What brings you joy? What lights you up? Write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. And look at those words. And breathe those words and create images of yourself living that woman's life, that man's life. And you will be amazed at how your brain follows you and obeys you. You will be amazed. Now here's quantum physics, how your spirit starts putting you in the right place at the right time. How opportunities seem to fall out of the sky. Out of the blue, you have an idea. You're playing in the quantum field now. But you got to write it down. You have to make some decisions. How do I want to feel? Write it down. Write that down right now, everyone. How do I want to feel? What are the feelings I want to live in my life? How do I want to wake up every day? What do I want my life to look like? What matters to me? What are my highest values? Contribution, beauty, love. Maybe it's security. Security is my highest value. So how do you create a life full of security? You start focusing on what you can trust. I trust in the sunrise right now. I can't trust in men because my husband just left me. But I'm going to build. Listen, I'm going to build trust in humanity again, but I can't trust a man right now. So I won't start there. Don't start with the hard things. Start with the easy things. I can trust the sunrise. So every morning I woke up and I conditioned my mind to notice, Lisa, what can you trust? I can trust the sunrise. Even if it's cloudy, I know it came up today. And I built myself back up, you guys. And you got to do that inner work too. You got to build yourself back up. Start trusting your inner voice. Start trusting what you can trust in. I can trust in a sunrise. I can trust in a sunset. Okay, can I move to trust people? Not yet. Well, wait a minute, maybe one person. And then you start trusting one person and you're building yourself back up. This is your job to do, recreating yourself. Now I speak to the person who isn't in that 0 point energy stage. You're still doing the same steps. But now you got to notice where you're sabotaging. You got to notice what you got to unlearn. You got to notice, what are your limiting beliefs about money? What did you write when you said money? What distinctions came up for you? Instead of just money, oh my gosh, Lisa J, money is just energy. Money is abundant because energy is abundant. Oh, I'd say, oh, well done. You must have read Mindset Reset. And then you'd say to me, oh, Caroline, money is ideas. Wow, money is ideas put into action. That's what money is. Money is ideas. And I'd be like, ooh, you came on the podcast with Caro and Lisa J. Money is ideas. But do you hear how you have to do the inner work? Stop being lazy with yourself and sit down. Tell your kids, this is my time. You're not allowed to come into this room unless someone is bleeding. And every day you do this introspection and you say, yeah, who am I? What do I believe about money? What are my limiting beliefs? Do I have this imposter syndrome? Let's dig deep into that. Let's drill down. Let's tell the truth, even just to myself. And then you say, who can I trust? What can I believe in? Where has my talent worked? And here it is, either person. You focus on what's working because what you focus on expands. So stop focusing on that you're fighting about money. Focus on, well, I did have enough to pay last month. Wow, that's success. Money and me are friends. And you start befriending your own fears. You open up your wallet and you say, how am I treating my money? Do I respect my money? Do I have the bills facing in the same way? Do I organize my wallet? Is my bank accounts organized? Do I know exactly right now how much money is in my bank account? That's power, my friend. That's power. If you don't know, oh, I can't look, Lisa. Why? Because I know I'm not going to have enough money. I just don't know. I had a client who didn't do her taxes for 3 years in a row. And I just said to her, well, we are going to delve into that right now. Because do you know the power on the other side of befriending your money and being the leader over your money? Because here it is. Listen, mindset reset, mind shift number 4. Money makes a great servant, but a terrible master. So that's your introspection for tomorrow morning. When you sit down with your journal, is money my master? Is it controlling me? Or is it my servant? Am I controlling it? Am I telling it what to do?
Wait. So I have a question about that. When it's master versus servant. So for a lot of the people on this call, they have fixed salaries. They have fixed amount of money that's coming into their lives, right? It seems finite because that is like for you and I, money takes on a different form because we start every month with 0, right? Like we have nothing but to create, right? Mm-hmm. And then to make more. But there are people that rely on a certain amount of money every single month, and that's what they have to work with, and their life is finite in that way. So their relationship with money is a finite relationship. Mm-hmm. in that situation, if you have a finite relationship with the money and you know you're only going to get $1,000 that month, and then you want to do something that's going to cost $1,500, and you say, okay, well, I don't have the money because I only get $1,000 a month. Do you see where is money becoming your servant or your master?
Money's your servant. So,
okay.
But in that situation,
so
money is being your master. Okay, here's how you do it. That is a scenario of money being your master, because that's all bullshit, what you just said.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about.
So let's dissolve the bullshit. You ready?
Let's do it. Yes.
Okay, Newtonian physics, that means cause and effect, tells you I make $1,000 a month? I make
$1,000 a month.
I make $1,000 a month. That's my fixed income. Awesome. Here's what you do. Listen. Newtonian physics, fixed income, it's finite. I love those words. That's true. That's the physical realm. That's the brain. That's survival. It's all true. So now what do? You take a pie chart and you say, I got $1,000. This much, 50%. You got to look this up. Like, I think it's 50% goes to your mortgage or rent and immediate needs like FPL or power and light and water and trash. And then another portion goes to this. Another portion goes to education. Another portion goes to tithe, if you believe in tithe or investing. Another portion goes to savings. 5% goes to fun. And you actually discipline yourself to put yourself on that pie chart budget. I still do it to this day, and I can make as much money as I want. So you have to work with the physical realm in Newtonian physics. You've got to work with that. So get yourself disciplined on this pie chart of spending. It will bring you freedom. It will bring you freedom. It will bring you power. You're being the master of your money. You're telling it where to go. And if that means you got to put those credit cards in water and put it in your freezer for a segment of time. Oh, can't use that credit card for 3 months until I have mastered this pie chart, because I'm going to friggin' master this pie chart. Do you know what it feels like to be on the other side of mastering your money, mastering your pie chart, telling it where to go? That's amazing. Now that's Newtonian physics, and that's power. Training your brain. That's speaking in the finite physical world. Beautiful. Well done. You did it. And what else is there besides Newtonian physics? Besides the 3 laws of dynamics that Newton gave us. That's what Newtonian physics stands for. Newton, 1600s. Besides the physical, what do we also have? The spiritual, the quantum. Right. So in the quantum, you would ask yourself, okay, I got this part going. I'm on a roll. I'm mastering my money physically in the finite, in the Newtonian physics. It's not pie in the sky, you guys. You don't just think, and you get things. You manage your money. You master it. You did that. Now move to your spiritual realm and you say, everything is enough. That $1,000 is enough. And if I want to go on a trip that costs $5,000 and it's going to take me 18 months to save it, and I need to bring in $500 more a month, what if? And you write at the top of the page, what if? What if I could bring in an extra 500? How would I do it? And you start using the power of your mind through the spiritual realm with the question, what if? Write it down. That's mindset shift number 6, the power of what if. When you ask your cognitive, that's your prefrontal mind, what if, it goes to work to find answers. And it gleans answers from the quantum field, from the future, and even from the past. You've created an extra $500 in your life, or you've seen someone do it. You're just stuck in this Newtonian physics that you can't. So move to your spiritual realm and ask yourself in the quantum field, ask yourself, like a capital S. Ask your intuition, ask yourself, ask your spirit, ask God, ask the quantum field. What if? Not just how, what if? Because it means it's already done. And in the quantum realm, it is already done, because yesterday is today is tomorrow. There's no such thing as time. in the quantum field. Yesterday is today is tomorrow. So glean from tomorrow the wisdom of the future in the quantum field with that question. What if I were to bring in an extra $500 a month? What would it look like? And be quiet. Let the quantum field give you out of the blue ideas, quantum experiences, serendipity, the fortuitous, a miracle, quantum ideas, not an idea from your physical realm, an idea from the quantum realm. And if you believe your spirit, because spirit is the quantum realm. And isn't it true what Wayne Dyer said, you guys, that we are really truly spiritual beings having a human experience? But again, we've allowed the human experience to be our master. And in Mindset Reset, the book and the program is all about shifting the hierarchy. Don't let your humanity be the master over your spirit. Shift the hierarchy. Your quantum realm, your spiritual essence is the master over your humanity. And that's with questions like, what if, and what will happen? I mean, do you want me to give you real world examples of how this happens with my clients?
I want to hear how it happened with you.
Okay. So what if I'm sitting in my backyard? This is 32 years ago. I'm in 0 point energy. 6 months after the divorce, I've accepted it. Like, this is best, because I went to a therapist and the therapist helped me go beyond it. She helped recreate me because I needed therapy. So I went to a therapist, and there's a whole story in the book about how bad I was with that therapist, because I hated that therapist, but that therapist was the best thing for me. Like, she saved my life, but I hated her. But therapy's good. I understand. That's a whole nother story. You can read it in the book. But then I got free from her because I hated her, but she hung in there with me. Good therapists do that. And then I'm sitting in my backyard and I'm saying this question, what if, and I'm writing down my values. Who do I want to be? I'm starting to recreate myself. And here it is. Listen, I get the idea. It's mastermind retreats. And my first one will be in Paris, France. And I literally hear a nudge, go buy a ticket. Go buy a ticket. Go buy an airline ticket. And I'm like, what? It's a nudge. It's not an audible voice. It's an intuition. Go do it. Just like a GPS. When you put the address into a GPS, that GPS calculates every single move instantly. In my backyard, in 0 point energy, when I wrote down the destination desired, how I want to feel, who I want to be, what I want my life to look like, what my values are, mastermind retreats in exotic cities around the world, bringing my clients. When I wrote that down, that was like punching in the address in the GPS. And what does the GPS do? It goes to work to calculate all the steps. But here it is. The GPS only gives you step number 1. It doesn't give you all 77 steps, 1,400 steps. It only gives you step number 1. And listen, here it is. Listen, you never get step 2 until you obey step 1. So why are you not obeying your inclinations, your inklings, your crazy ideas? So that was the crazy idea. That was the inkling. That was step number 1 in my GPS. I'm sitting in the car. I punch in the destination. I get this inkling, go buy a ticket to Paris. That's too big. That's too much. That's too crazy. I obeyed it. And that's how it launched. I'm not kidding. That's how it launched. So I call Mark, my almost former husband. I'm like, can you take the kids this weekend? Because I'm going to go to Paris and I'm doing this, and that. And he said, sure. So I went, and that was the launch. Literally, that was the launch of my last 32 years in my career. I had retreat number 1 in Paris, France, 9 months later. And I've done 25 retreats since then. Even in COVID, I've done retreats all over the world. And that's what I do. That is my life. I coach people on a weekly basis. And then every 6 months, I take them to an exotic city around the world. During COVID, it was an exotic house somewhere in the United States. And I teach them this mindset reset formula. And it all got launched in that one day with that one exercise, which is, who do I want to be? I'm going to recreate myself. What if? I wrote it down. I got the inkling, the nudge, and I obeyed the first step.
And what about your love life?
And then same thing with this same analogy. Like I said, like, I don't trust men right now. This was 32 years ago or 17 years ago. I don't trust men right now. So what can I trust? And I started recreating myself, because what you focus on, you expand. Okay, let me focus on trust. I trust the sunrise. And then I trust a person. And then I trust dating. I did. And so I dated a lot. It was fun. I was in control. I could say no. I could say yes. I learned about myself. I took anecdotal notes because I'm a behavioral psychologist. Who was I being with that guy? Who was I being with that guy? Dating was a behavioral psychology experiment to me, which I enjoyed immensely. I probably should write a book about that journal that I wrote. And then I'm in a restaurant in Newport Beach, California. I don't even live here. I'm in a restaurant in Newport Beach, California. And Jeff Johnston walks by. And I'm laughing with my clients. It's Sunday afternoon. So you guys, this is 17 years later after I launched my retreat company, my retreat business. And he walks by and we're laughing. And he says, "What is so funny? We're at this table." And I said, "Oh, we're laughing because oh no," he said, "What are you girls up to that you're laughing so much?" And I said, "We're up to changing the world." And he said, "Well, I need the phone number to the girl who's changing the world." And I said, "Okay." And I gave him my phone number. And we talked that night on the phone. And I was asking him all these crazy questions about quantum physics and to see what he knew. He's an engineer. So he has this engineer mind. It was amazing. We went out that Wednesday, 3 days later, and went out again the next Friday, went out again the next Sunday. And on the third date, he said, "I'm going off all my social media or all my, whatever they're called, Tinder and this, and I want to date you exclusively." We dated exclusively for a year. He proposed to me. We were engaged for a year and we got married 4 years ago. So there is recreation around marriage and relationships and trust, because you and I have the power to recreate ourselves. And that's who we are as spirit beings. We're constantly expanding. And if you're not expanding on a conscious and unconscious basis, then the infinite wisdoms that be could give you a challenging circumstance in your life to put you back into recreation mode. It's a gift.
Wow.
It's a gift. Recreation mode. You can recreate yourself to have a healthy relationship with money and befriend it. You can recreate yourself to have a happy relationship with marriage and what marriage means to you and to your spouse. You can recreate your marriage. You can recreate who you're being in your career. You can recreate yourself. But you've got to be willing to harness the power of the mind, because we live in a duality. And if you're not harnessing the power of the mind, then the mind can be your worst enemy with limiting beliefs, negative conversations, imposter syndrome, thinking it's real. Or you can be the master of your mind with the mindset reset formula, simple 5 steps to take control of your mind. And who's taking control? Who's taking control of your own mind? Your spirit, your essence, your higher self. And you're literally retraining your brain. You're literally reprogramming your subconscious mind. And you're harnessing the power of your mind. And then literally what you want is inevitable. The feeling, the vibration of.
Oh, what happened to her? She left us. I don't know what happened. You guys, how amazing is this, huh? Have you guys learned a lot? Anybody wanna, unmute themselves since she's not with us right now until she gets back, and tell me what your thoughts are, if you've had any ideas about during this conversation?
It's like what you say, what's your why? She calls it like a GPS or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah, very much, very much. Anybody else?
I
I'm
was
sure she'll come
actually
back in.
just with my sister. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
And with my sister for lunch, and we were talking about how we were raised to always feel poor, even though we weren't. But like my mom always just like whenever we made financial decisions or spent money, it was always like we're poor. So now like my sister and I, are financially stable, but every time we spend money, we're always like we feel this, oh, we're poor and it's really hard for us. There's this guilt around it.
Guilt.
So today, the first time we both were just talking about it, and then I just feel like this conversation is extremely aligned with that feeling.
Wow. Now you get to recreate that identity.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much programming when it comes to our to money and to wealth and to our beliefs about money. Have any of you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Anybody read that book here?
My husband's
Rich,
reading that now.
it's actually a great book, and in that book, they talk about this guy had basically two. Hang on a second. She's texting me. Jump back on. You left us. Okay. So in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he had these two dads, and one dad was his biological father, and then the other dad was like his mentor father, his friend's father. And his biological father was an academic, a professor, and had very much that finite mentality about money. And his mentor father was an entrepreneur, and both were successful, both made money. It wasn't like his academic father didn't make money, but it changed. His thinking about the money changed everything. Hang on one second, she's coming back in. Hi, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. We don't hear you.
I said, this is the Connect with Caro show. What happened?
The connection went kaput. All of a sudden you were talking and then poof, you were gone. And we were all just here waiting for you. Like, what happened? Where did she go?
I'm so happy you waited. So poof, I'm back. I don't
Poof,
even
you're
know
back.
what I just said. So why don't you reinstate what I just taught?
So actually, first of all, everybody was resonating so much with what you were talking about. And they were sharing some comments. And one of the conversations that we got into was Caroline shared that she was talking with her sister about how growing up, she wasn't poor, but her programming from her parents, the message that she received when they were going to spend money was that they were poor. Like they came up with this idea of being poor, even though they actually weren't poor, but it was like this programming. And we were talking about that just as you came back in. And we're talking about recreating your mindset and changing your beliefs about how you grew up thinking about money.
Is she still here? Caroline,
She's
are you still
here?
there? Okay. So Caroline, do you believe you can retrain your brain?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome. Are you willing to do the inner work to retrain your brain?
For sure.
Okay, awesome. That's all we need. We need a belief and we need willingness. That's it. We need a belief and we need willingness. That's it. So here's the reality in the process of doing it. You want to go through mindset reset with me right now, the whole formula?
Let's do it.
Okay. So step number one is embrace your duality. Do you believe you have a dual nature, that you are physical and spiritual?
Definitely.
Okay. So you want to embrace your duality by allowing any of the limiting beliefs to come up, allowing any of the silly behavior to come up. Allow for it, create space for it, encourage it, because when it's coming up, that crazy belief, that crazy sabotage, that funny, silly aspect of being human, when you see it, that means you are in spirit, because only in spirit you have the eyes to see it. Listen, listen. The brain doesn't change the brain. The brain doesn't even know the brain. The brain doesn't even acknowledge the brain. But when you can see it, that's not the brain. That's the spirit. So start noticing your crazy behaviors and laugh at it, because it's spirit laughing, and spirit always laughs. So it's like, here's the language. Oops, there it is. Oh my gosh, that's what I do around money. Oops, there it is. Oh my gosh, it's my spirit acknowledging it. Now you have power. Now you can retrain the brain, because you're outside of the brain. Make sense?
Definitely.
So embrace your duality. The second step is let go. Are you willing to let go of some of these silly beliefs, some of these real beliefs? Are you willing to let go of the limiting perception you have around poor, poverty, rich, money, wealthy, any word you want to bring up? Are you willing to let go?
Yes.
Okay, so share with us 2 or 3 of the most profound inner conversations you have around we're poor, or I can't afford that, or oh, maybe that's it. Maybe it's I can't afford that. Do you hear yourself saying that?
All the time.
Okay,
Definitely.
good. So good. I can't
All the
afford
time.
it.
Today,
Oops, oops, there
we
it
were
is.
buy lunch, and I was like, I could just cook lunch, and my sister was like, you can get that. I like treat yourself, but it's hard for me when I was raised to just always, oh, we can't afford that. Like,
Okay, so
wait,
say this, stop, say this. It's hard for me until it isn't.
It's hard for me until it isn't.
Say it again.
It's hard for me until it isn't.
Say it again, and slowly and really feel the words.
It's hard for me until it isn't.
That's right, Caroline. If you keep saying it's hard for me because of the way I was raised, there's no possibility in that. There's no power in that. The power is, oops, there it is. I only do that until I don't. Save room for the until I don't. Focus on until I don't. Oh my gosh, I'm getting there. Can you feel it? Like I got the chills right now.
I do too.
Yes, that's called your spirit. That's the possibility. Oh my gosh, Caroline, everything's possible for you in that space of until I don't. So write it down, embrace your duality, let go, but notice it, let go. I can let it go. I only believe that until I don't. I only talk about my past until I don't.
I think that's really great that you're calling it duality, because what Caroline has experienced, I don't think that's a bad thing to be cautious of money. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think letting go and yes, learning to treat yourself and spend your money when you worked hard to earn it, like those are good things. So the dual is a nice way to think about it, because I don't think the way that you were raised is bad. It probably taught you really sound money and to be a saver, which is a good thing.
It's a great thing. And there's no possibility in that if that's her wiring.
Right.
So my goal is not to tell you that was good, that's bad, only do this, only do that. My goal is be open to possibility. Harness the power of your mind so that your spirit's in control of that mind. Shift that hierarchy so you have possibility, not control. You have possibility, not constraint. You do things because you choose it now. I choose it now, not because of your past wiring. So sometimes Caroline will choose to splurge. Sometimes Caroline will choose to cook at home and save money. And that's an awesome thing. Sometimes Caroline will choose to cook at home, sell the other part of the big meal and make money from her delicious meal. I don't know. There's lots of possibilities that Caroline can choose. The power is you telling yourself, conditioning your brain to sit down, be quiet, and choose. Allow for possibility, not constraint. So here's step 3, and then we'll pause here. This is a great way to complete our conversation around mindset reset. Take your limiting belief, which is, In the past, I was raised that we were poor, and we weren't even poor, but just that we couldn't afford it. So my conversation is oops, there it is I can't afford it. We can't afford it. There's no power in that. Whether it's true or not, there's no power in that conditioning. So what Caroline is doing is shifting the hierarchy, and her spirit is allowing space. Allow space for the limiting belief. Oh, I see you. Hello. Whoops, there it is. Lightheartedness. The only problem with a problem is if you relate to it as a problem. The only problem with a limiting belief is if you will relate to it as oh, it's a limiting belief, it's a constraint. No, it's just what needs to get let go. It's just what's coming up to be let go. That's the same for anxiety, depression, stress. It's just bubbling up to let go. So don't suppress it, emote it, let it go. So step 3, and we'll close here. Caroline, what I want you to do is I want you to write down these 5 spiritual truths, because step number 3 is actually practicing your spiritual nature. Here they are. Number 1.
So I get pen and paper.
Yeah, grab it. And these are all spiritual truths, but you practice them. You practice adopting them. Adopting means they become who you are. They're in your bloodline. You're immersed with this. This is who you are. Number 1, there's nothing wrong here. And you say, Lisa, there's something wrong here. My mortgage check got bounced. My rent check got bounced. There's nothing wrong here. When you can release the energy of judgment over what happened and bring it to neutrality, we're speaking energetically, you have power, you have possibility, you have free will. So there's nothing wrong here. It's just what's so. It's what there is to manage. It's what there is to deal with. It's what's right in front of you. But there's nothing wrong here. Truth number 1 is there's nothing wrong here. Now I want you to practice this truth. You missed the light. Now you're sitting there. You're going to be late for your meeting. Oh, there's nothing wrong here. Practice this truth. The second truth is my power is within me. We have to stop looking at outside forces, success, money, people to define us. My power is within me right now in this present moment, because I have the power to harness my mind. I have the power to let go of the mind, release it. All my power is right here, right now within me, not outside of me. I don't have to wait to get that goal. I don't have to wait to get that trip to feel happy. I can feel happy right now. And then when I feel happy right now, we literally move into that realm where you're out of the blue, creating ideas, opportunities, people to get you your goal. Isn't that interesting in quantum physics? So truth number 2 is my power is within me. Truth number 3 is I'm enough. There's enough. Ooh, that's a good one for Caroline, or for any of us that were raised with, we can't afford it, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. So I'm enough, and there's enough. There is abundance on this planet. It exists. If we took all the people off, all humanity off this planet, what would happen? It would find a perfect balance. It would last into infinity and beyond. It's only the mind that creates the problem. There's abundance. That leaf would die. The seeds would fall to the ground. The seed would germinate, calls forth all it needs to come to full fruition, and another tree would come. So truth number 3 in our spiritual realm is I'm enough. There's enough. There's always enough. There's always enough. Now, even with Caroline in that example, if she conditioned her harnessing the power of her mind, if she conditioned her belief that there's enough, she would choose powerfully. And she would choose sometimes, you know what? I'm going to save money. I'm not going to spend money today. I'm going to make the meal at home because it brings me joy to make a meal sometimes. I find joy in the meal. I don't want to miss the joy in the meal. Power.
If I can interrupt you there, Lisa, real quick, because I think this bears mentioning. I've been talking about this topic a lot with some friends of mine, and one of my girlfriends and I were talking about that concept of enjoying saving money. I come from the mentality of delay gratification. Don't eat the marshmallow. You know what? You know, all about not eating the marshmallow, right? And it brings us joy to know that we have the power to not overindulge or overspend or be beyond our means, or like buy what we just to buy. Like, it brings us joy to know that we have control over ourselves and over our money, and to be able to delay gratification, and no, I really want this or I don't really want this. But the power comes in being able to say, if I want something enough, and it will serve me, my family, my friendships, my future, my education, my business, then I know that there's enough for me to buy that, or for me to invest in that, or for me to allocate my resources to that, even though I'm the kind of person that enjoys saving money and enjoys creating a nest, as opposed to spending everything that I have, or living beyond my means to impress other people, etc. Things like that.
Or to live beyond your means because that's how you're wired. Some people are uncomfortable with having money. That's why they don't take care of it in their wallet. They don't take care of it in their bank account, and they spend it as soon as they get it. They don't want it.
Right.
Subconsciously, they're afraid to have it. So as soon as they get it, they spend it. There's no power.
But money
in that.
money is really an allocation. It's like, what do you want to put your resources in to make, as if it is your servant, what is money going to help you do? And you get to make that choice. For me, there's certain things that don't move me. There's certain material things that they don't bring me joy. And I have the power to not spend them because it doesn't, it doesn't bring me joy. But I think finding joy in that abundance is really, really powerful.
But here's the piece too that I would bring into the conversation of expansion. Even that belief can be limiting. Even the belief of I save money, I allocate money, that can be limiting because there's no power there. There's no power to make another choice. It's how you're wired. It's a good wiring. It's a good belief, but there's no power of choice. And the one gift that you and I have as human beings who are spiritual is free will. We're the only created beings in all of the cosmos that has free will. Even the angels, if you believe in angels, they don't have free will. Angels are told what to do. You're a warrior angel. You're the angel that finds things. You're the angel that heals. You're the angel that brings peace. We are the only created beings with free will. Don't ever let your programming suppress your free will. Free will is such a gift. You get to choose. And sometimes it is so freaking liberating to spend money on the craziest, most fun first-class ticket to Paris and bring your 3 children and rent a flat for 60 days to experience life in Paris. I did that with my children 1 year after the divorce. And that outrageous move of money, that outrageous load of cash that I spent to create that magical 30 days for the 3 children, my 3 kids and me, was life-changing, was exponentially healthy, brought our healing in exponential time, like now, and bonded the 4 of us like no experience could. So there's something about being so wild and juicy and letting yourself spend on a wild basis once in a while, once in your life, one dress, one elaborate meal. One time I was dating a guy and he's a multimillionaire in network marketing. He gave away all of his money one day when that tsunami happened in Japan in 2005. He gave all of his millions of dollars. And he's like, I'm going to create it all back. And guess what? He did. There's something about being willing to give it all, even your money. And why not give it all once in a while on your family, on yourself once in a while? But if you only give it all every day, every month, every week, you're gonna be in trouble. So do you hear? We bring back, like Brandy said, the beauty of the duality, the beauty of the duality. And then the final four and five. Four and five, the final 4 and 5. The fourth one is, I have the capacity to change. That's where the oops, there it is comes. We got to get out of the mindset. And, you know, I speak internationally. Oh, this especially happens in the UK. This is my lot in life. This is my lot in life. No, that's not your lot in life. I don't care what past you had, what childhood you had. You have the capacity to change, because you have the capacity, the free will, to harness the power of your mind and shift that hierarchy so that the spirit is the master over the mind. Now you have that power. You have that free will. You have that choice. And you have the free will to make the time to do that, right? Every morning, throughout the day. So you have the capacity to change. And then the final one, I can think beyond the reality. I can think beyond reality. Too often we think all we see is reality. So of course you think reality is reality. Oh, but that's real, Lisa. That's reality. Well, I get it. I know in Newtonian physics, that's reality. The reality is she died. The reality is you got a divorce. He left. The reality is that's reality. The diagnosis came in. That's reality. I get it. And in Newtonian physics, that's all we can see, because that's what you see every day. But that's not reality. If there's 8 billion people on the planet speaking quantum in the quantum field, there's 8 billion realities. Which one is right? Reality is perception, my friend. So be careful that you don't call your reality reality. So start asking better questions like, what if? What's possible here? What do I want? What would better serve me? How can I harness the power of my mind to shift my mindset around that diagnosis? What's good about this? What's good about this divorce? What's good about this conversation we're having today, where Lisa's bringing up all my limitations? This isn't always so fun. It's liberating. Let yourself be liberated by this conversation. So those are the 5 spiritual truths.
And you were right. That is a beautiful place to end this conversation. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing your time, your energy. For those of you who want to know more about Lisa, let's put your website on the chat.
Yeah, and you can get some freebies, you guys. I have free articles up there. Just go to
Lisa J Coaching, right?
LisaJCoaching.com/freebies. And you can get all these free mindset articles. And you guys, I do want to invite you, whoever is open to this possibility, there is one room left for my Paris Mindset Reset Mastermind Retreat in October. It starts on 10/10. Great day to remember. 10/10/2022. We will all be flying into Paris. We launch with an open welcome reception at 6 p.m. And then for 6 days, we enjoy a total immersion experience of the Mindset Reset formula. Your life will never be the same, because you will never be the same. We do launch the private and group coaching for the Paris retreat a week from Thursday. So that's just in 11 days. So if you feel like this last room, this final seat is for you, I want you to reach out to me personally, and I'll share all the details with you. We'll just have a conversation about what's possible for you and see if that's for you, this last seat in Paris.
Where can they reach out to you?
LisaJCoaching.com is the website, or they can just send me an email, which is lisa@lisajcoaching.com.
All right. So I put the email and I put the website. So for anybody who's interested in that, that sounds absolutely amazing and wonderful. And I would love to see people from my community extend to your community. That
you.
would be
Wow.
just wonderful.
Beautiful.
I love that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Mhm.
giving so much of your time and your attention. We loved you guys. Thank you for those of you that stayed. Actually, we had a full house. Everybody stayed until the last
Wow,
minute. So
great.
that just goes to show how
You're
much
willing.
value they got from this call. So thank you guys. You are free to go. Enjoy your Monday. And I think you're going to have an incredible week after having this call. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Caroline. Bye-bye.
Lisa, stay on with me for just a second,
Okay.
and then we'll say bye to everybody. Okay, you need to say what you just said right now that you forgot to say during the call.
I know. Here's the PS. So this morning I was sitting down doing my Noom app. You guys know Noom, Noom. It's a weight management app, and they give psychology lessons. As a behavioral psychologist, I love these. On day 52, the lesson today, the same day I'm doing the conversation with Caro, Connect with Caro, was about the 1970s research on the marshmallow and delayed gratification. So today was the marshmallow research information. And I thought, isn't Joaquin hilarious? Today he would connect all those synchronicities for us. So we just acknowledge your dad's work. His spirit is alive. His spirit is so alive in you, Caroline. I'm so happy that you've taken this place and share your wisdom with everyone and picked up the baton of your dad, and let's create that it is even more expansive than what he experienced, because that would honor his legacy as well.
I love that. Thank you, Lisa. You're gonna make me cry.
Thank you. Thank you for who you are. We'll talk soon.
Oh.